Welcome back, students. Today we are here to discuss a new topic. We are going to discuss the play The Importance of Being Earnest by Oscar Wilde. Let's move to the contents and see what is included in the discussion of this very play. First of all, I have decided to discuss with you the brief introduction and background of the very play, the importance of being earnest. Then we are going to discuss the detailed plotline and summary of the play, and then themes, major characters, important debates, and quotes. I think we'll only be able to cover the first two sections of our discussion in today's video. So let's start our discussion. Well, the play was a farcical comedy and it was first performed in 1895. Now, the first thing we have come to know about the very play, the importance of being earnest, is that it's a farcical comedy. Now the question arises, what is meant by a farcical comedy? So the answer is, the farcical comedy is a kind of comedy that seeks to entertain the audience through situations that are highly exaggerated, ridiculous, and absurd. So this type of comedy is known as farcical comedy, and we are going to find this sort of situations in the play, The Importance of Being Earnest. And by using this sort of situations and by using the tool of farcical comedy, what the very author, the dramatist Oscar Wilde, wants to convey is actually the notion, is actually the soul of this discussion, to just explore that the very phenomenon that he wants to expose about his society and about his time. Well, the protagonist wants to avoid the social obligations, considering them as burdensome in this very play. The play shows the settings of later Victorian era London, and what distinguishes this play from the rest of the modern plays and modern comedies is actually the attitude of the play, is the temperament of the play, and rather better to say, the treatment of the author with the theme, and particularly his use of the device of farcical comedy to express and to exaggerate the situations of the Victorian norms and social conventions of the time. So what distinguishes the play from the rest of the plays and comedies of modern and later Victorian era is basically the temperament of the play, and basically the treatment of author with the play and with the story. It deals with a serious social institution like marriage with a very trivial attitude. Now, when we go through the play, when we go through the plot of this play, we will have to know about very fascinating facts, that the play has a lot many modernist traits, particularly its emphasis on individualism. We can find a hue and cry, or a silent cry, but we can say a silent cry over and towards individualism in this very play. So we'll discuss it later on in the discussion. So it deals with the serious social institutions like marriage with a trivial attitude. It sounds like a satire on the Victorian society and its manners. As we all know that the very society, Victorian society, is known as the society of hypocrites. It had double standards. Well, it is also known, the play means, it is also known as a trivial comedy for serious people. The play shows the later Victorian social setup. And then let's move to the summary of the play. When we move to the summary and the plotline of this very play, The Importance of Being Earnest, the story revolves around the character of Jake Worthing. Jake Worthing is a central character of the play. He creates another fictitious character with the name of Earnest, and the play revolves around the story of Earnest, and actually, it was Jake Worthing who was using the identity of Ernest. So, the very character Jake Worthing in the play, he creates another fictitious character with the name of Ernest. The wicked ways of his brother Ernest provide him with an excuse to leave his country home. And this was actually the way of Jake Worthing to hide himself in the guise of Ernest. And he used to come to London, and he used to spend some time with leisure and some time with his own self. And that's why he was using this fake identity of Ernest in London. So this very title and this imaginative, fictitious character of his brother Ernest, it helps him in the play to spend sometimes uh, on his own, to spend the life he wills. Well, the wicked ways of his brother provide him with an excuse to leave his country home. Here he stays when he comes to London in the play. He stays with his friend Algernon Moncrief. Well, John was in love over here in London. That is shown in the play. John loves uh, his John or Jake. He loves his friend Algernon's cousin, Miss Gwendolyn Fairfax. John has a new recognition of Ernest in London, and Miss Gwendolyn Fairfax, she knows him with this new identity, with this identity of Ernest. She knows him as Ernest. Gwendolyn desires to marry Ernest. When Ernest's family proposes Gwendolyn for marriage, then he finds it necessary to expose his true identity, and he creates another story by telling that his identity as a child was quite unaddressed, and it was hidden, or he didn't know himself. Why? Because he was left without his parents while he was a child. So this very story, this very fishy story, it couldn't impress Lady Bracknell. Lady Bracknell was Gwendolyn's mother in the play. Well, let's move to the plot line. Lady Bracknell finds it disturbing and insists to see Ernest's parents. Now, this very character, Lady Bracknell, is actually the representation of the typical Victorian mindset of the high class ladies. She wants a good match for her daughter, and she wants a rich man with a high background. So the story was disturbing her. Why? Because she wanted a very strong background of Ernest. She was craving for that. She was craving uh, for a good match. That's why she was insisting on to see Ernest's parents. But Algernon, on the other hand, there is another story. Algernon, who was actually the nephew of Lady Bracknell in the play. Algernon, on the other hand, also uses a title of Bunbury for his non-existent friend, and by using this fake identity, he uses to spend his time in his own town. So both Jake and Algernon, they are using a cover of a new identity in order to live the life of their own will. Well, the play becomes a farce when Jake decides to show his brother Ernest as dead, and he decides that Ernest, his brother, was died, and on the other hand, Algernon appears as his brother Ernest in the situation, and Cicely, who is actually Mrs. Prism's relative or daughter, I think. So I'm just forgetting some of the situations of the play. But, well, Cecily is actually the character who is also impressed of the title of Earnest. So when she finds Algernon in the form of Ernest, she uh, immediately falls in love with him because she was already inspired of the very title of Ernest. So Cecily is already inspired of the imaginative figure of Ernest. She falls in love with him. On the other hand, the tables turn when it appears as a twist that Jake and Algernon are brothers because Mrs. Prism, who was the governess over the child when Jake was a child, due to her absent-mindedness, she lost the child on Victoria train station years ago. So actually, this is how farce works. The interesting episode of discoveries of true identities reveal another interesting fact about Jake. And the fact is that Jake was named after his father, General Ernest Moncrief, and hence his real name was also Ernest. So this is how the play becomes a farcical comedy, because the situations are absurd and they are creating humor with the exaggeration of those situations. Ernest discovered as the elder brother of Algernon, who was lost due to the absent-mindedness of the maid Mrs. Prism, who was the governess as well. So the play ends in a very happy tone, uh, and because it's a comedy, but it raises a lot of questions and a lot of issues that is up to the reader to address them. It doesn't only show the typical Victorian mindset and the Victorian norms, but it also shows some attitude and some tendency towards modernism. We will discuss this in the discussion of themes of this very play and in the important debates of this very play. See you in the next video. If you like my videos, kindly subscribe to my channel, press the bell icon, and share our channel with your follows and friends. Thank you so much. Allah Hafiz.